This is the Journey Podcast. We highlight the journeys of our guests, where they've been, where they are now, and where they are going. Let's join them on their journey. Welcome to the Journey Podcast. Today we are joined by Cody Weaver, and he is with Ignite Digital Media, 6 months to six figures, and the Sailors Creed Coffee. Cody is a multi-business owner, entrepreneur, public speaker, and some other things that maybe he'll tell us about too in this episode. He's also a U.S. Navy veteran, so thank you for your service, Cody. We appreciate that. Cody is a self-made, honest businessman, and by his own account, he should have been a criminal, but he is a walking success story. And I'm really glad to have him here to share his story of where he's come from and where he's going. And it's really some of the stories that we love to highlight here on the journey. Welcome, Cody. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, Nate. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. You got 3 businesses. That's what we mentioned here. I know if you're just like me, you're doing more than you probably should some days. So tell us about your businesses and what you got going on down there.
Yeah, so it's funny. So I have these 3, but up until about 2 months ago, I actually had more than this. I just actually sold 2 companies about 2 months ago that were.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah. I had to offload something. I was getting a little bit too busy. I was and kind of what started it. I'm actually in a shift kind of with what I'm doing, everything right now. What kind of led me to doing that? I thought my previous thinking was, diversified portfolio, multiple streams of income, all that. I was listening to a video. It was Grant Cardone. I'm sure your listeners are very, very familiar with Grant Cardone. And he was talking about the mistake of diversifying your portfolio. And he talked about, like your Steve Jobs, your Jeff Bezos, your Elon Musk's, the 1% of the 1% and these guys and how they made it to where they was they didn't diversify their portfolio until they had already reached a pinnacle of success. What they did was they found one thing that they were really good at. They found one thing to just get obsessed with, and they got so good at it and they became so successful at what they were doing that it just basically they were destined to get where they were because they became obsessed with one specific business venture. And so, up until a couple months ago, I had my marketing company. I hadn't started my coaching program yet, but I had my marketing company. I had an indoor birthday party facility. I had a rental company, and I had this coffee business. And I was like, I'm spread so thin that I'm taking time and energy away from one business to put into another, taking from this one to put into this one. And I listened to that interview and I was like, I feel like he's on to something there. So what I ended up doing, I ended up selling my rental company. I sold my indoor birthday party facility, which were both 6-figure businesses, offloaded those. And I said, I'm going to get obsessed with what I do with my marketing company. I'm going to get completely obsessed with this. And, my coffee business is a labor of love. It's a side project. It's just something that I do because I enjoy coffee. I think it's a strong brand that can grow over time, but my priority and my focus is I'm going to get completely obsessed with my marketing company. I'm going to turn this into an enterprise, and I'm going to coach people on how I have built this business to what it is today, because our company is less than a year old and we are massively successful for as young of a company as we are. And so I can get into more of that later, but my coaching company and my marketing business, they're hand in hand. So to me, I really consider that one business, because all I'm doing with 6 months to 6 figures is teaching people how I built this marketing company to be one of the most honest and reputable marketing agencies, not just in the state, but in the entire country in such a short amount of time.
Oh, that's awesome. And one thing I think is neat. I have a question here. So how do we relate all these together? But I think I just figured it out. We got digital media, marketing, we've got coaching, and you're just going to give them a cup of coffee so we can talk about it, right?
That's right. That's right. The more coffee you drink, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the better you are at getting out there and selling and pursuing and keeping that pipeline full. So
And maybe there's something about the coffee. You drink the coffee, they buy your services. We got to talk about that. So
Yeah, every client that comes on board with us gets a free bag of Sailor's Creed coffee. So
fantastic. I'm a big coffee drinker. Um, we're going to jump into that here, but a little bit. Can you share though a little bit about your background? Because by your own account, you should have been a criminal. And why is that? Number one would be the right question. And how did you keep out of that life?
yeah, so I haven't really, even with my own close inner circle, my own friends, everything personally, I don't really divulge a lot about my upbringing and my background and stuff. So this is kind of a new venture for me, just getting out and talking about my upbringing and where I come from. But I come from a a drug fueled home. There was a lot of abuse, mental, physical abuse, things like that. I was actually removed from my home with my parents when I was about 12 years old. Actually ran away. I just I'd had enough, and I ran away. I went to school. I got on the school bus, and I told my best friend Travis. I said, I'm not coming home. I said, can I come home with you? So I ended up getting off the bus and going home with my best friend. I was in the sixth grade, and told his family. I was like, this is why I ran away from home. And they called the police, and child services got involved, and that was it. I never went back
Wow.
to my home. My great grandmother ended up adopting me. And I lived with them until I was 18. But my adolescence from that point, from 12 years old up until I graduated, I was in therapy, in and out of therapy. I was, they put me on Wellbutrin and all different kinds of antidepressants and all kinds of stuff. I was a failing student. I had no interest in school at all. I hated school. All I wanted to do was drink and party with my friends. I was just manically depressed. Couldn't find anybody that I fit in with, and just really struggled to find my identity for a long time. And fell in with a bad crowd, doing bad stuff, and really ultimately, what kind of saved my life was joining the Navy.
Hmm.
My my entire childhood, my entire life up until I joined the Navy, uh, I had never been told that I could be anything. I'd never been told that I could do anything. My lack of applying myself in school. I think we had 180 in my graduating class, and I graduated like 156 out of 180. I was in the bottom of the bottom 10% of our graduating class, and I'd always been told, you got to have an education to get a good job. Without a good job, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never succeed in life, whether it was from family, whether it was from my teachers, educators, whatever, up until I had gone to basic training and joined the military. My entire life was filled with, you can't do this. You'll never be that. You're going to amount to nothing. You don't really have a future. And so whenever I went to when I went to boot camp, it's the same thing in boot camp. They tell you the same thing. Your drill sergeant, they're telling you the same stuff. You're never going to make it, blah, blah, blah. But on that last day, right before graduation, when you have that ceremony and they take the hat off of your head that says recruit, and they put the hat on your head that says Navy. And that moment when the drill sergeant looks you in the eye and says that they have high hopes for you and that you're going to do something and you're going to be this and you're going to be great and your future's changed. I was 19 years old, and that was the first time in my life that anybody had ever looked at me with sincerity and said, you can do this. You can be anything you want to be. You have accomplished more in the past 12 weeks than you've accomplished in your life. This is only a stepping stone to where you can go from here.
Wow.
And that just kind of put me on the right path to knowing that, okay, I can do this. I can be anything that I want to be if I apply myself and I work hard.
Well, Cody, I really appreciate you sharing that with us today. That's an awesome story, or the origin of where it came, and uh, led you through to where you are today. So, tell us about the coffee business, because I selfishly just like to talk about coffee. I could talk about it all day long. Tell us about that. I know it's a little bit of a side gig, but sometimes those little passion projects are our favorite thing to talk about. So tell us about that and how it works.
Yeah. So what it is, it's Sailor's Creed Coffee Company, and what it is, it was originally designed the brand. So one of the things that my company does, Ignited Digital Marketing, is we do brand development, and so I developed this brand, and it was going to be Sailor's Creed, and we had the logo, and it was originally supposed to be a CBD company. We were going to be Sailor's Creed CBD company, and because a massive supporter of anything CBD related. I take CBD every single day. I think it's one of the greatest, uh, you know, natural medicines out there. So originally, Sailor's Creed CBD company, and I'd started talking to CBD companies about white labeling and mass producing their products and all, and I was getting samples in, and I just started, as I was pursuing this venture, I started to realize that it was a super saturated market, with very limited market share, very limited on your marketing capabilities. There's so many restrictions because it is a cannabis derived product. You're not allowed to do certain things with digital marketing aspects, with Facebook marketing, Google marketing. You're not really allowed to have paid advertisements legally for those types of products. And so I was like, well, let me just hold off. And as I kept brewing on it, and I kept, thinking, well, what is the direction of this brand? Because I know it's a solid brand. And then coffee just kind of fell in my lap. And so I had my graphic designer. I said, hey, I want you to take Sailor's Creed CBD, and I want you to turn it into something Sailor's Creed Coffee Company. I want you to send me the logo, send me the brand. Let me see what it looks like, and I'll know when I look at it if this is going to be right. She sent it to me, and it just immediately clicked. I was like, this is it. This is the future of this brand. This is going to be a massive brand in the veteran, patriotic, military, sailors, coffee world, particularly because being a sailor, being in the Navy and coffee, they go hand in hand, right? There's two things you drink in the Navy, and that's coffee and alcohol. That's it. You get water occasionally. You'll drink.
Yeah, you
water.
float on the water. You drink the other stuff.
Yeah, you'll hydrate every once in a while, but most of the time, 90% of the time, you're running on booze or caffeine. So anyway, we conceptualized the brand. I started reaching out to coffee, roasters that did white labeling. Didn't have a lot of success. Didn't really go anywhere. I've got a local coffee shop that I go to here where I live in Tupelo. It's called Tupelo River Coffee, and I was in there one day and talking to the owner. Didn't know he was the owner. Just he asked me. He saw my shirt, asked me about my business. He wanted to come meet with me. I was like, man, I want to meet with you about something too. And I had mentioned to him the Sailor's Creed coffee, and he said, man, he's like, that's going to go somewhere. And so I was like, well, would you white label? He said, no. He said, I'm not going to white label. He's like, but I want to be your partner on it. He's like, I want to be your business partner. So we restructured so that Sailor's Creed Coffee, I own 51%. The Tupelo River Roasting, they own 49%. It's a partnership. All of our coffee, I do the branding, the marketing, it's my brand, but they roast everything. He comes up with the different roasts and how we roast it, where the beans come from. He is the master roaster. He handles all of that. All I do is get what he gives me, and I market it, I brand it, and then we ship it and sell it. We're full e-commerce. We don't do a lot of local. We've got a couple of marinas, because we are nautical themed. We've got a couple of marinas that we sell to wholesale. Primarily, everything we do is e-commerce. We bag it, ship it. It's all roasted fresh out the door within 48 to 72 hours.
Oh, that's great to find that partnership there and to get that together. And it's fun because you get to, I'm sure you get to try the different coffees. That would be just enough for me to say, hey, whatever we got to do so I can come in and try new blends of coffee. So that's sounds like a lot of fun there for you. So tell me, what's one thing in the business ventures? You have 3 you're working on right now. What's one thing you didn't really expect in these ventures?
So yes, I'll tell you, I learned a really big lesson in March and April of 2020. So I was, my background was in logistics and trucking, and I had in packaging and all this stuff after I got out of the Navy. Primarily, I was in the trucking industry as a manager and a sales rep. And in February, no, excuse me. Yeah, in February of 2019 is when I purchased my first business, a little side business. It's one of the ones I just sold and started this entrepreneurial journey, but I was still working too. And then in December of 2019, I went full blown entrepreneur, full self employed. I purchased another business and was full in, and man, we were rocking and rolling. December, January, February of 2020, we were just we were killing it. Me and my fiance at the time, and we were doing so well. And we went out and we lived it. We didn't prepare for nothing. We were like, we're killing it. We're making money like crazy. Let's go out. We went and signed a lease to own contract on our dream house, just elaborate, extravagant house, 3,000 square foot, fully remodeled. It was originally a church or a school or something back in the early 1800s, and they just dumped a ton of money into just completely making it a really, really nice home. Went and did that, bought a boat, bought just went out and spent every dollar that came in. We were going out and spending it. And then of course, March of 2020, we all know what happened, right?
Yeah.
The pandemic. And so the pandemic hit and our businesses had to close down. We were not, it was an indoor birthday party facility, and water slide rentals and bounce house rentals and all this stuff was not an essential business. And not only was it not essential, but it wasn't even a safe business for us to operate. So here we were, we had just got this house, this extravagant house. We just got this boat. We were going out just to eat every night, just living our dream life. And then all of a sudden, bam, just like that, 70% of our income was gone overnight. So one thing that I will tell you that I didn't expect is, don't expect anything. I mean, you've got to be prepared for the unexpected. As I was a new business owner, we were making money like crazy. I was living this life, and then all of a sudden it was gone, and then we had to come to the realization of, hey, we should have had a safety net. We should have lived within our means instead of spending every dollar that we had coming in just because we were making money. So yeah, expect the unexpected, man. There's something like this COVID pandemic. I don't think anybody expected it, but man, if we would have prepared for it, we probably would have had a lot of less painful lessons growing through that, the next 6 months that followed March of 2020. So
Yeah, so true. Such an unexpected thing with the pandemic there, especially for those types of businesses. So now we bring the story forward a little bit to 2022. What would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing now, and how are you overcoming it?
yes. So right now, the biggest challenge that we're facing, I think, is a challenge that most small businesses are facing. But trying to find employees, man. Just hiring. The employee pool right now is very skim, very thin. Uh, and so what we're doing right now is we're utilizing things like Upwork, Fiverr. We're outsourcing some stuff to some freelancers to try to make up. One of the things when I started this company, Ignited Digital Marketing, was I wanted everything to be done in-house. A lot of digital marketing companies, they outsource to the Philippines, they outsource to India. They'll sell you a service and then somebody else will fulfill it. And I was like, we have the capabilities and the technology and the know-how to fulfill all of our services in-house, employ people here in Mississippi, create jobs for doing something fun, building websites, social media marketing. And unfortunately, for the past 3 months, I've been trying to hire somebody, to come and work, because we're growing and we're expanding, and it's a little bit more workload than what my current team can handle. And unfortunately, we're in a position to where we are having to freelance some stuff. We're having to hire some things out, and eventually, until the right person will come through our doors, the right person will be interested in coming to work for us. We are a growing company. We're a very reputable company. It's just there's not a whole lot of people out there right now looking for work in our industry, at least in our local market. We're trying to keep things local.
Yeah, that's the just huge challenge of finding that. But I think what we learned from the pandemic is, hey, there's a huge worker pool now remotely, and so
Yeah.
it allows us to do that too. So it gives us some flexibility as business owners. So tell me, in your opinion, what is the most important personality strength that somebody needs to be an entrepreneur?
Man, it's just drive. You got to have drive. You got to have, the power of positivity, the law of attraction. I believe in all that stuff. You think positive, bring positive into your life. You can't let every little thing, every setback, make you defeated. In March of 2020, when we lost 70% of our income, I could have gave up. I could have went back to work, and I said, no, there's a way out. And I shifted from, at the time, where I had a packaging company then that was where we lost a lot of our income, as well as our birthday party facility. I said I could go back to work. I can go get a job, but that's not me. I can do this if I find a way to do it. And that was where I got into digital marketing, something that was service based, COVID friendly. Even during a pandemic, web design and marketing services, internet marketing is something that is still needed. So being able to adapt with the times, the ability to overcome setbacks, and just know, believe in yourself, and know, that no matter what, you're going to have a way out. Keep positive, because you're going to bring positive to you. If you approach everything with a negative mindset, if it's the feast, not famine mindset. If you got the famine mindset and there's not enough of this, there's not enough of that, and you just approach everything with a negative outlook, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. But if you believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, and become obsessed with what you're doing, be obsessed with what you're doing, and be obsessed with knowing that you have value to bring to your clients and your customers and your potential customers that are out there, and just keep grinding, and you'll make it.
Stay positive. Absolutely. Okay, so what is a piece of advice you would give to somebody um, starting out in a business today?
Have a mentor. Don't just blindly run into anything. I believe in mentorship. I believe in coaching, which is why I started my coaching program, 6 months to six figures. uh I would not have found success in my new business, and as much as I have lately, with my new businesses, or even with my previous, I would never have found success in any of them if I didn't have a mentor and a coach that was there showing me and teaching me how they made it. Find somebody that's living the life you want to have, and just be like, hey, I want to live your life. How do I do it? And you would be surprised how often you will find that those people are willing to coach and open up and tell you and show you how they achieved what they achieved.
So that leads to my next question, of course, is who's your mentor? Tell us about that.
I've had several throughout my career. I think my first influential person that I can remember that just really showed me what a leader was and how to be a mentor was when I was in the Navy. My chief, Mary, her name was Chief Petty Officer Mary Patterson, I think, at the time. I don't think she had gotten remarried yet. And she's a master chief. She's still in the Navy. She's master chief, one of the top ranking, in the Navy now still. But she was one of the first, man. She taught us, how to take care of your people, and that, you're only as good as the people that you have working with you, and how to lead from the front. So she was definitely my first mentor, taught me a lot. There's a guy locally, his name's Cody Grantham. He's actually the mayor of my town where I live now. I live just outside of Tupelo, and he's our mayor. And he's who I purchased my first business from back in 2019. He was the very first person that opened the door to being an entrepreneur to me. And then as I started with my marketing, I had a mentor for this, a guy named Charles Henry, who has one of the most successful marketing agencies in the state of Mississippi. Very, very awesome guy. And I still talk to him about every other day. We bounce things off of each other, and he still gives me mentorship to this day.
Great. Yeah, I've got to have a mentor. And of course, you've learned that you're trying to mentor, you're coaching those people through the work that you're doing, and got to have a mentor. And those who are mentoring need to be mentored. So just it's a continual cycle. So, what do you think is the one lesson that your job, your work has taught you? You think everybody, no matter if they're an entrepreneur or just somebody starting out as a entry level worker, that they should learn?
Uh, I I'm gonna circle right back around to just, the law of attraction, the power of positivity. Mindset is a powerful thing. It doesn't matter whether you work a 9 to 5 blue collar job. I live right in the heart of Mississippi, man. This is the Bible Belt, right? I mean, we are blue collar America down here. Most of my friends, they're 9 to 5 factory workers, industry, and my heart goes out to those guys because I don't have that in me. I don't have that drive in me, but they do, and they have a passion for it. So I circle back around to the same thing. Be passionate about what you do, be obsessed with what you do, always have a goal to be the best. You don't have to be the hardest worker in the room or the smartest worker in the room, but having a good combination of both and being the best in the room. Work hard, be smart at how you work, be the best at what you do. And always have, a positive mindset, positive outlook. Bring, bring that into your personal life, your work life, and it's going to reciprocate itself right back to you.
Yeah, good stuff there. Thanks for that. Tell me, it's a little bit different question here, but what's one thing about your business as an entrepreneur that almost no one else agrees with you on? What's unique to Cody?
I don't, I wouldn't say that it's unique to as an entrepreneur, but I will say it's unique to my marketing company. I believe the old phrase, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, so I did our P&L yesterday, and I looked at our pipeline and everything, and we're in June. And so my company is less than a year old. I started Ignited Digital Marketing in September of last year. So in September of this year, we will officially be 1 year old. And I looked at our P&L yesterday, and from January to today, we're right at about $84,000 in sales. And when you look at that, that's a pretty incredible number. We're going to be almost a $200,000 business our first year in. And every other business in my industry is all about stuff in the pipeline and being a hard closer. Anybody you talk to, it's all about closing that sale, handling the objections, getting them to commit to the sale when you're talking to them at the appointment. And one of the things about us that we don't do that. We don't do any hard closing. We don't do any objection handling. What we do is we show any prospective client the value that we bring to them. We ask for their business. If they're not ready to commit, we give them a proposal, and we say, when you have a decision, let us know. We don't force a sale, because the last thing I believe is I don't want somebody coming back 90 days from now and having buyer's remorse and regretting their decision to come on board with us. I want them to know for a fact that if they make a decision to use our company for their business, I want them to feel comfortable in that decision. And we're probably the only digital marketing. We're probably one of the only companies, period, that does no hard closing. We don't push the sale. We say, hey, here's how we can help you. And it's up to you whether you want to work with us or not. So I know that's probably not very good advice. And I know the salespeople out there are saying that's dumb. Don't listen to that. But it's worked well for us, so.
It's working for you. Good. All right. So tell us, what's the most underrated tool that you need to do your job?
The most underrated tool. I don't know if I would consider it an underrated tool, but I know I would consider it. I don't know. So it's people, man. People. I don't. A business that values its people is going to go further than a business that doesn't. High turnover, having to retrain employees over and over. That's the keys to a failing business. Invest in your people, man. Invest in building a good team around you. Don't ever let your people feel underappreciated, because the more that your team feels valued, the more they're going to value you, the harder they're going to work, the more they're going to want to do to see the success of your business. One of the things that I do is I believe in sharing the equity of success with my employees, profit sharing incentives. We pay high commissions to the people that do our sales, and I take care of my team, and I will never, ever attribute the success of my business without the value of what they've brought to the table.
Oh, that's a good word. So you've started a lot of businesses, Cody. So I love this question for you. What other business or occupation would you like to try next?
So, along with keeping in line with getting obsessed with what I'm doing, right now I'm really buckled down with my marketing and my coaching. This is in my coffee, Sailor's Creed coffee as well. Those are my obsessions in the near future. But for some passive income, we work really heavily through Ignited Digital Marketing with some real estate investors, and that will probably be my next venture from here is getting well versed in real estate investing and getting some properties that we can maybe I really would like to get into commercial. I'd really like to get into some commercial real estate investment and see where that goes. But for right now, I don't try to think too far ahead. I try to stay obsessed with what I'm doing and live in the moment. And we're full speed Ignited Digital Marketing and 6 months to six figures and Sailor's Creed coffee. So
I like the focus there. That's fantastic. And it's really been great to just hear your story and sharing your journey today on the Journey podcast. I got a couple of rapid fire questions here at the end for you, Cody.
all right.
So tell me, what are 3 books you'd recommend to the audience?
Let's see, 3 books. Built to Lead is a good one. I cannot remember the author. I'm really terrible because I really don't read much. I do a lot of audiobooks, but Built to Lead is a really good book about leadership. Spin Selling is really good. Again, don't remember the author, but Spin Selling is all about how conveying the value that your service or your product has to the customer instead of doing the high pressure sales. Is basically Spin Selling will teach you how to make your customer want to work with you. And so that book is great. And then I'm about halfway through Rich Dad Poor Dad right now. So really enjoying listening to that when I go and I walk and run on the track at the gym. So those are really 3 really good audiobooks that I've listened to that I've really enjoyed.
Great suggestions there. Okay. If there's somebody out there starting a business today, what's the word of wisdom you would give them?
Back to have a mentor, have a coach, have somebody that's already successful, that's willing to share their insights with you. It's industry specific. Starting a restaurant is not the exact same as starting a digital marketing agency. So having a coach like me, my 6 months to six figures would not do you any good if you're trying to open a restaurant. But if you want to learn how to build a 6-figure marketing agency in 6 months, I can help you with that.
Great. Cody's going to show up and drink all your coffee if you're starting a restaurant. That's what he's telling you. So
that's right.
All right. So Cody, I appreciate you being on the Journey podcast. Thanks for going a little bit deeper with us today on the Journey podcast. Tell the listeners where they can find you online. You got a couple of different ways that they could engage with you, I've seen.
Yeah. So, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. My name's Cody Weaver. And as far as our companies, Ignited Digital Marketing, 6 months to six figures. We have Facebook pages for both of those, Sailor's Creed Coffee, Facebook page, Instagram for that. We have, the website, igniteddigitalmedia.com is our website for our marketing. 6 months to six figures.online is our coaching website. And then sailorscreedcoffee.com if you're interested in trying some premium, fresh roasted, right here in the USA coffee.
I know I'm going to be starting with some of that coffee, Cody, and try that out. So last question, tell us what your favorite coffee is on the website.
The Morning Colors. It's our breakfast blend. So that's my favorite. But our biggest seller is our dark roast, which is called Zero Dark 30. That's our number one seller. So
All right. Cody, thanks for being a guest here on the Journey podcast. I look forward to trying out your coffee and having a cup of coffee with you at some point. Thanks for joining us today.
yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.